Okay, so I've got a little more depth in my recess now. It's kind of chunky down there, but I'm not worried about that. I've got a long way to go. Probably smooth that out with a rotary tool. Waiting to order a Fordham here pretty soon, but in the meantime I just use the cheap little Harbor Freight tools. Been using the 3F8 gouge a lot for this. Gives me some pretty good accuracy on the cross grain chop downs. Seems to handle just about everything. I like flipping it around and digging. This kind of reminds me of going to the dentist. I've got to vacuum about every 5 minutes. Also starting to get some depth on the curl around here. Like I say, it's pretty delicate in the early going until I establish that line. I'll have to work this corner in a little bit more too, and I'll probably use the I'll start with the large skew and see if that gives me what I want, and if not, maybe go with the small skew. Maybe even break down and use a knife. But I'm going to want this tip here to be the lowest part of the scroll. And I've got a long way to go on this to get it down to where it needs to be. And I kind of like that when I'm not right up against it and I've got some room to work it. I think I'll go back with that knife again. And just kind of trace this so that it stays consistent. And this is one of those times when I'm concentrating on a very specific area of the carving, but I'm still keeping in mind all the areas around it. I have to be careful because I can get too focused on one particular area, especially when a tool gets going good, and I don't know, maybe take off more than is proportional for the surrounding areas. So I always want to be checking the other areas. Let's try that big skew that I was talking about for that corner. See if I can make any progress on that. This is really probably like more of a cleanup project at this point. But I want to establish that so I know where it is. Sometimes I'll rock it up like that. Rock the skew to get the full recess. Rocking the tool is nice like that because it kind of follows the contour. And you know what's funny in these corners is that you would think that this cut would match up with this cut in depth, but when I've got this long travel length here, it almost never does. I'm almost always taking it out piece by piece. This is going to have to be lowered. I'm probably going against the grain here. So I'll go real light. When I'm finding the grain, when I'm experimenting around to find out which way it wants to be cut, I'll go light. I'll take off small shavings rather than as much as I might want to in one particular cut. So this whole curlicue is going to be recessed below the level of the actual banner part of the scroll. I'd kind of like to get a pleasing proportion here, and that'll take some time. The large skew is a good tool to use for that. And I may be working a proportion here, but I've also got a limitation that I have to be aware of as far as the thickness of this. I don't want it to get too thin, because that's one of those situations where I can't carve any wood back on. But it looks like it's coming into proportion pretty nice. And a lot of times when I'm doing this, I'll split the difference between the outside and the inside. I'll work the outside for a while, and then I'll also work the inside. Cut off that shaving before it travels too far. Okay, it's getting there. Let me vac it again real quick. So I'll have to do some more lowering here. I want this to taper down so that the tail of the banner is tucking up underneath, as I would imagine it would be. A lot of times I guess we are creating an illusion. You know, we're dealing with a two-dimensional perspective kind of view of something in 3 dimensions, so I guess we have to use some sleight of hand to communicate what it is we want to communicate. But I'll continue working on this and maybe post another video a little later. But thanks for watching.